right, this is week number 2. We're going to do 3 pages of the handouts. Page 2-1 is a new page. I don't know, might be a typo, we'll find out. Page 2-2 is the old page I use, but I'm trying to use as many graphics from the textbook as possible. So I'm trying to get away from the old handouts, again, to justify the textbook. So we may or may not do this old page. Page 2-3 this will be the last time I'll give you the, well, maybe not. These are what I want you to do for homework. Depending on how much time we got, I may do your choice of one, or we'll see. So I guess I'll pause the recording and wait for students to come in. If I can. Okay. Parting here. Okay, I almost forgot to start the recording. I don't want to have a bunch of dead air time. But, for the record, we got Dave Rowe, Adam Brookman, Benjamin Feltz, Chulantha, Jonathan Williams, Baxter, Michael, Tabitha, and Ty. So far, might be a couple of latecomers yet. We'll see. But also in review, we talked about coordinates. This early in your training, I just want you to burn the memory that the first.
Hey Adam, can you help me out real quick? Can you?
We got a mic on that may not be aware, David. So. Where was it? Oh, coordinates. The somewhere on your drawing is a coordinate 0, 0. I had to zoom all the way out to see the 0, 0. When you get in so close, or when your display does not show the point that is 0, 0, like there, I just got it off the screen. When 0, 0 is not shown on your screen with enough space around it, the user coordinate icon, UCSICON here, just goes to the lower left corner and hangs there. There's different settings for UCSICON. Mine is set right now for on and origin, so it sticks with the origin 0, 0 if the origin point is visible, and if the origin point is not visible, then it just hangs there in the lower left. Some people might turn it off because it's distracting, or they're doing a screen capture. I think it'll get absorbed if you do a screen capture, but I have no problem leaving it on and set to the origin when the origin is within the display. What else did we learn? We learned ortho and polar tracking. Ortho's the old, T-square, very, very restrictive, only allows you to do up, down, right, left. You can turn it off and on by tapping on this little ortho icon on the status bar. I suggest you get familiar with polar tracking. That's this clock looking icon here. It does everything ortho does, but allows you to break free of the up, down, right, left, and go at diagonal lines just by deviating slightly from the up, down, right, left T-square settings. The problem with it is sometimes when you release your mouse, it'll slide down the table before you can hit the enter button. So Keep an eye that your mouse isn't being pulled by the cord or sliding down the table. I've got mine set for 30 right now because I was doing some practice work just a minute ago. I suggest set yours for 45-degree increments. So every 45-degree increment as you go around to 360 degrees, it'll have a dotted line called a polar tracking line. And that's beneficial in a few weeks when we put little center lines in the middle of circles. We use the mirror command. What else? We learned some display commands, pan and zoom. Pan, I suggest press your IntelliMouse wheel down and drag your, well, I was about to say drag your drawing. You're really not moving anything. You're kind of reaching down from your helicopter and pushing yourself to the right, so you can see more to the right on your drawing. Push your IntelliMouse wheel straight down. The cursor changes to a little glove looking icon. You can push your helicopter to the left to see more of your drawing on the left. Zooming in and out is simpler. Just roll the IntelliMouse wheel toward the screen or away from the screen. And 2 rapid clicks of the IntelliMouse wheel will zoom extents to show you all there is to see. Here I've got several weeks of handouts all in my drawing here. I've got I got layouts showing the sections of the model space that I want to print on paper. This is a little preview of intermediate class, but here these yellow things are the viewports. I've got them all locked. These yellow things are like television sets in a storefront window. I don't know if there's still any Radio Shacks around. But so you got a whole wall of television sets. Each one of these yellow things is like a television set. You can unlock them, and that way, hello. There we go. Then you can see your entire everything in your drawing through the television set. The same throughout this course, you'll be staying on the model tab, which is like a single television set for all of your drawing. So anyway, starting to babble. What else did we cover last week? Double click to get out of the television set. Regen and view res are commands to purify the display. View res, I suggest change it from the 1000 setting to 20,000, the maximum. Always recommend setting it to the maximum and never regretted it. Regen is just a temporary one-time use fix to purify your display. Changing the view res setting to, change, what's it called? Circle zoom percent. I think it comes out in your command prompt. Change that to the maximum so your display is as pure as often as possible. Let me, let's see, where was I? Oh, well, I'll close and reopen it if necessary. I think that's all we covered last week. Anybody got any questions for review of anything we've covered last week? Don't forget, check your email. You uploaded the recording to YouTube and to the week 1 classroom assignment. So I would guess YouTube is easier to work with, but I'm told to use Classroom. So I put it on both spots. Okay, ready to begin week 2 material then? Let me start a brand new drawing here. And as usual, AutoCAD insists on turning on the display grid, this little graph paper looking background. Used to teach it, have little use for it. So I'll click on the status bar button for grid, almost to the far left of the status bar, to turn it off. And it also wants to turn on this show annotative objects. That's a new feature that I haven't really seen get into industry yet. The drawings I work with are 6 months old or years old. Anyway, so we got a brand new drawing this week. Looking at your trying to connect to a tiny, okay, cancel. If I can hold control. This week we're going to learn object snaps, which are handy little tools that home in. If you want to draw a line to dead center of a circle, have rigged the snap to center object snap, or O snap. If you want to draw a line to the midpoint of a line, I believe a midpoint of a circle, I'm sorry, an arc as well, have turned on the snap to midpoint O snap. And I probably should put these in a different order. Let me show the typical way. We call these running object snaps. They're on, all 5 of them that I recommend are on all the time, unless you turn off the object snaps status bar button. I should have had that turned off earlier. The status bar button, let's see, it's 1, 2, 3 to the right of polar tracking is a square with a dot in the upper left corner. Have that turned on, and just like polar tracking with its settings and the cursor display with its settings, we got to make the settings for running object snaps so they're on permanently, unless we tap this button and turn them off temporarily. I believe F3, yeah, F3 is a keyboard way to toggle it on and off. Anyway, just like polar tracking, click on this downward triangle, and I highly, highly recommend these 5 checked: endpoint, midpoint, center, quadrant, and intersection. By the way, here's the, why does it keep doing that? I guess because I got links on here. There's a old YouTube tutorial on running object snaps. If you're having trouble keeping up, consider watching that tutorial or watch the recording of today. So again, I suggest have visible all of your object snap buttons. We covered that last week. Click on the customization 3 horizontal bars in the far right of the status bar and ensure everything is visible. Your dashboard is as cluttered as it can possibly be, so you can tell what's on and off. If you unclick these, you don't know if they're on or off. So have everything visible. Today we'll not only have polar tracking turned on, but we'll also have object snap turned on and set for these 5. Excuse me. Just come up here and click on them, so these 5 have the check mark next to them. I think I've got it written. Yeah, lower left of your PDF. Have these 5 running O snaps always turned on. Endpoint, midpoint, center of a circle. Quadrant is the top, bottom, left, right of a circle, like 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6, and 9 o'clock. Intersection is where 2 objects cross, or an object in a polar tracking line cross. I really appreciate that they coded that so it'll snap to the intersection of a polar tracking line and an object, not just the intersection where two objects cross. Getting back to the handout. Again, have those 5 running. I'll demonstrate that in a minute. We'll also learn at least 3, maybe 4 different ways of making circles. Radius and diameter are probably the common way. Machinists like to have circles dimensioned by diameter. But if you file or sand a corner of a plate smooth, that's often dimensioned in the shop drawing by its radius. TTR is tangent radius. I'll demonstrate that. That's where you want a balloon. Say I want a balloon in the corner of this circle and this line. For whatever reason, TTR, tangent radius. I want the circle to touch this existing circle, and I want it to touch or be tangent to this existing line. And the last thing to input on the command prompt is the radius, the R. You know, a big radius would draw a circle huge, just barely touches in the corner there. We'll also learn the fillet command. That's a way to round sharp corners where lines meet, or where they would meet if they extended or shortened to meet. Trim is like a partial erase. I still got an eraser shield kicking around here somewhere, a real thin sheet of stainless steel that you could cover up your paper drawing and pull out your pencil eraser, and it'll erase what is outside of your little stainless steel plate. So we'll cover that, and also properties. Quite often you want to know how long and what the angle is of an existing line. So I'll show you how to get information on lines and circles. Anyway, getting back here, let me first show you the running object snaps. Let's draw a plate of spaghetti. I'll leave polar tracking on and set for 45, and for time being, I'll turn off the object snaps. So I got no homing devices to zoom in on target spots, center, quadrant, intersection, midpoint. So if you want to follow me, just draw a plate of spaghetti lines following the polar tracking or not. And again, your mouse can slide. It's the one disadvantage of polar over ortho. Now check it out. If I'll turn on the object snap button. And anytime my cursor is close to an endpoint, it'll home in on an endpoint when I click the left mouse button. Anytime the cursor is close to a midpoint, it'll home in on a center of, dead center of a line when I left click, etc., etc. So depending on which of these is closest, it'll home in on that point. So let's say I want to draw a line from this endpoint to that endpoint. No more do you have to do the arithmetic like we did last week and calculate the absolute coordinate, x comma y of this point, which is some odd number since I don't. Anyway, we'll click the line, double check again, hit escape, check your command prompt, make sure it says type a command before you click an icon. Again, if you accidentally click on objects when you're not supposed to this early in training, you get these blue grips. They are handy, but let's learn topic by topic. Excuse me. Hit escape a couple times till they're gone and you see type a command again. click line, and check it out. As I go around my screen, I come across, if I'm close to the center or midpoint on a line, I get the triangle icon. If I'm close to an endpoint, I get the square icon. So I got no circles or arcs yet. If I'm very close to where two lines cross, the snap to intersection homing device gets excited. And I'll have to give credit. Another teacher taught his class her class to use these 5, and I set mine to that, and said, "Oh, that's an excellent idea." I've never changed from those 5, with few exceptions. Anyway, getting back here, if we want to draw a line from that point to that point, just when you see the square, just left click. Your cursor doesn't have to be perfectly on the end point, depending on how your options are set. When you see the square, click with your left mouse button to answer the question, specify first point of the line. There, I click with my left mouse button. I'll float around from endpoint, midpoint, and endpoint until I'm close to the midpoint or the endpoint that I want to home in on. Right there. As soon as I see the yellow square, I can click with my left mouse button, and that is perfectly at the end point.
I don't know if I missed something here. I have my snap turned on, but I'm not seeing the square or triangles when I'm going to the midpoints or the endpoints.
Okay, besides having the running object snap status bar button on, have you got Burgener?
Yeah, I have the 5. I have endpoint, midpoint, center, quadrant, and intersection turned on.
Okay, now the icons, the yellow icon, by the way, you can set the color from yellow to green or blue or anything you want, but the icons only show up when the command prompt has the word specify and point. If the command does not have those words, specify point, between them could be next, first, second. You with me? Was that
Yes,
Michael?
Yeah.
So double check the command prompt is saying specify point. And are you seeing the icons appear yet? No.
I am not. Let's see. Right now it says specify opposite corner.
Okay, that's. I think you're drawing a rectangle. Hit escape to break free of that command and click on the line icon. You got some line.
Yeah, somehow my line icon must have not been hit anymore because now I got it. Sorry about that.
Not a problem. If we hadn't gotten it resolved, I'd suggest go to the options. I think last week we went to options to reset to get AutoCAD to behave like it's fresh out of the box. A little refresher, right click, hit escape just in case, right click in blank space. Bottom of the screen has options, or you could type the word options and hit enter. And again, all right, I think I thought I bumped the right mouse button, but got there. Again, please avoid experimenting with this, because if you change a setting and forget what you did, sometimes it's difficult to get back where you were. Again, the profiles tab, by resetting whichever profile you're on, sets many things back to the fresh out of the box arrangement. but not everything. So if you experiment, hey, I wonder what this does, you know, click OK, and you know, somebody calls you and you forget what you did, and come back an hour later, hey, why is it doing this? Well, you know, resetting the profile might not recover. Anyway, where was I? Let's draw some more lines. Click on line icon. If it was the last command you used, you could hit enter or space bar. I can't remember if it's the last thing I did or not. Say I want to go from the midpoint of this line to the midpoint of this line. Just hover around till I see the yellow triangle. The word appears if you give it a second. Click, and that is precisely to that midpoint, down to at least 8 decimal places, maybe 16. Hover over here again until the midpoint icon lights up. You can rest, your cursor will snap to it if you want it to, and your options are set to do that. But anytime, as soon as you see the icon, just left click, and there you're to the midpoint. Say I want to go hubbity straight to the right, and Osnap, where my polar tracking line intersects with an existing line. As soon as you see the X, click. Maybe go to a midpoint. Now that point is both an end point of a line and an intersection of 2 lines, and the midpoint of a line. So there's 3 different object snaps that can target that point. And I have not learned the priority. You know, when 3 apply to a point, you know, which is the first that gets excited. I think you could hit tab to go through all of them that are excited. Now check it out. Let me turn off object snaps, and we'll draw a plate of spaghetti really close here. I'll hit enter to finish. Turn it back on, click line. Check it out. I got endpoints and intersections all over the place. Get in the habit of zooming in so you can specify the exact endpoint or intersection or midpoint that you're targeting. Okay, again, hitting the tab button can, I think, pops from all of them with, you know, that are near your cursor, but probably easier just to zoom in and get a clear shot at the object snap you want. So far, so good. Let me demonstrate one-time use OSNAP overrides for the occasional object snap that is not one of Burgener's 5 favorite. And object snaps that are not one of Burgener's 5 favorite that you might want to go to would be perpendicular. If you're at a random point in space and you want to draw a line so it strikes another object perpendicularly, an arc, a circle, or a line, perpendicular is the OSNAP override one-time use to use. Tangent, we got to have some circles or arcs to play with. Nearest might be another example where you, on rare occasion, you want to draw, begin or continue a line to a object, but not precisely at the end point or not precisely at the midpoint. You want it to be right there. Like when you're drawing a leader or an arrow to a nut or something, you might want it to touch the nut, but not precisely at an end point or midpoint or an intersection of the nut. Anyway, Click in blank space. Say I want to draw a line perfectly from random here. And I want it to go perpendicular to this diagonal line. Well, endpoint and midpoint get excited if I get close to them. If I'm following a polar tracking line, intersection will get excited. Remember, I got it set at every 45 degrees, so there's multiple endpoints or intersection points possible, but I want to go to approximately right there. That would be an excellent use for a OSNAP override. Okay. The way I suggest you get in the habit is hold the shift key and right click. And up pops all those object snaps. For this one point only, not from now on, only for this one point only, I want to turn on the perpendicular targeting tracking device, targeting device. Okay, so I'll click perpendicular. Now check it out. When I rest my cursor on a diagonal line, the little carpenter square icon pops up. There's only one point on that line that is perpendicular. Even if the line is, even if the perpendicular point is off the line, there's only one point. You could continue your line to strike the existing line at a 90-degree angle. So hover around till you see the carpenter square on the line you want to go perpendicular to, and left click when you see the icon. And both sides of this line are exactly 90 degrees. If they're not, you might, your XY resolution of your display might be off. Okay, now I'm back to Burgener's 5 favorite again. End, intersection, midpoint, Okay, say I want to go perpendicular to, say, this diagonal line. It's intuitive that perpendicular will stick from point to point to point, but nope. You're back to Burgener's 5 favorite running object snaps. So to go perpendicular to this, okay, that by coincidence, maybe perpendicular is exactly on a 45-degree polar tracking line if I followed a polar tracking line for that diagonal. But to be on the safe side, I'm going to hold the shift button and right click, pick perpendicular again. And there, that's the perpendicular point, whether it's precisely at 45 degrees or not. Left click. What's another? How about down here? Perpendicular down to this line. Hold the shift button and right click, pick perpendicular. And there's the point at which I would strike that existing line at a 90-degree angle. So far, so good. Now, what if I want to be on the line right there? Not the end point and not the midpoint. I want it to be, by golly, right there. One way would be to zoom, 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 in, and then click close. Oop, I was so close it homed in on the end point. I'll right click and do undo. Try to stay away. Good. Hit enter to finish and zoom back out, and it'll probably look on paper like it's perfectly on that line. but the beauty of CAD is you can be perfect. So being perfect is often easier than making it look good. Let me undo. What am I? Okay, I had a zoom in addition to the undo. I forgot where I was doing. Oh yeah, draw a line to exactly there from wherever I was. I'll pick a random point. Line. Click. Okay, I don't want to go to that intersection. I don't want to go to that end point. I don't want to go to that midpoint. I want to go right there. Hold the shift button, right click, and use the nearest object snap. And then a little hourglass appears. Wherever I click will be where the line continues. Hit enter to finish the line, and now no matter how far you zoom in forever, you might need a regen on occasion, but it'll be precisely on that line perfectly. So a robot following this as a saw cut will stop exactly when it's hits that line, not leave a 10,000th of a unit gap like my jury rig did a minute ago. Okay, everybody familiar with Osnap overrides? Hold the shift button and right click and pick a one-time use only object snap. Now, my handout adds this 3 letters because if you do a lot of word processing, it may be quicker to type the 3 letters of the object snap. Endpoint, mid, sen, qua. Let's draw some circles and then we can play with center and quadrant object snaps. Okay, we'll come back to object snaps. Zoom out again. All right, Burgener. What happened? There we go. Circle commands. Okay, I suggest you get familiar with this flyout toolbar by clicking on the white triangle under the circle icon. Okay, these are not commands. These are customization where a command and a specific option is rigged. I want to point that out because after you used one of these icons, if you hit enter, it doesn't go back to the exact icon you used. It goes back to the command you use, which is circle. So once you start using icons on a flyout, remember to go back to the same icon on the flyout, not hit enter like you can with line and erase and several other commands. A machinist would probably appreciate if you specify where the center punch for the hole he or she's to drill, and the diameter of the drill, which is related to the letter or name of the drill. So let's play with center diameter first. Click on, again, I'll click in blank space, come up here to the triangle under the word circle, slide down the center diameter method of drawing a circle. The command prompt says specify the center point for the circle. It's got some options there. We can pick a random point, or remember we got our Burgener's 5 favorite Osnaps on. And notice it says specify point. So Burgener's 5 Osnaps are homing in. So I can put a circle precisely at the end point of this line, or the midpoint of this line, or the intersection of What's a good example? There, intersection of these lines. Let me go ahead and say, hey, I want to strike the center punch where these two lines cross. Left click to specify that point. Now the command prompt says specify the diameter for the circle. You can cursor out and pick a diameter randomly with your mouse, or type a value. I've lost track of how far I'm zoomed in, so I'll just hit 1 enter. There is a 1 unit diameter circle precisely at that center point homed in. Did we get a participant? Nope. Not sure what that chime was. Okay, now notice quadrant and center point are one of Burgener's 5 favorite Osnaps. So we can take advantage of the quadrant running object snap to specify a point at the 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock quadrants. Let's draw a line and check it out. When we're close to a quadrant, you get one of these diamonds. Intersection, endpoint, midpoint. Okay, I thought this was a 1 line, but it's slightly bent. Check it out. When we're close to a quadrant, the yellow diamond appears. When you see the yellow diamond, tap with your left mouse button, and AutoCAD comes back with specify point again. You can specify an intersection point, the bottom quadrant, the 9 o'clock quadrant. You can polar track and strike an intersection. You can go to an intersection of existing objects. I'll go to another quadrant and another quadrant, which happens to be on a polar tracking line. You know, and quadrant up here, quadrant or endpoint back or intersection back again, or right click and close. So far, so good. Now let me demonstrate another method of drawing circles, center radius method. By the way, which the last high-tech icon you use will live on the toolbar until you close AutoCAD. I've never noticed if it sticks from drawing to drawing or not. So if you're doing a lot of center diameter, it's probably going to be on the ribbon up here. Anyway, getting back here, let's start center radius. Tap on the center radius icon. I'll pick a point at random because I want to get some circles in random space. Tap a point, and you can rubber band to pick a random distance or type, say, 0.5. No, I'll say 0.25. Enter. And there's a quarter unit circle centered at that random point I picked. Repeat it again, draw another one at a random radius. Now check it out. Say these are pulleys. And I want to draw a line like a fan belt from pulley to pulley. That means my line would be tangent to this circle and tangent to this circle, not quadrant to quadrant. You know, not the 3 o'clock to the 3 o'clock, but tangent, like a string is being pulled off of the spool. Those would be good one-time use only applications for the tangent running object snap. Remember we played with perpendicular and nearest. some of those object snaps are a little more advanced than you need to know right now. But check it out. Tangent, I do not recommend you ever set to run because it fights with quadrant. It doesn't play well when you got both tangent and quadrant running. So check it out. So I suggest learn to use tangent by the shift right click method. Specify line, there's the specify point. So Burgener's 5 favorite, there's a snap to center now that we got circles. But all 5 of those get excited when you're close to their target. Say I want to go tangent here. Well, I don't want to go quadrant. Damn it. Should silence myself. Suspected spam anyway. Turn down the volume. Sorry about that. Where was I? Shift right click, pick tangent, or type TAN enter if you're quick with the keyboard. I think there's other ways to get to Osnaps. Shift right click on tangent, rest your cursor in the vicinity where you think the string will come off of the spool. If you O-snap over here, you may end up having a fan belt, make a figure 8. So click in the vicinity where you want it to be tangent. Notice as I move my cursor around, the rubber band stays like a piece of string. Now check it out. It's intuitive, and I'm sure y'all will make this mistake. I probably haven't made it for the last time, but it's intuitive that it'll home in on the tangent point again. Wrong. These O-snap overrides are only good for a single point. So like it or not, hold the shift button, right click, and specify tangent again for the second point that you also want to be tangent. Now pops this snap to tangent cursor. The ellipsis means, hey, I don't know exactly where I'm going to be until you click. That's why you get the deferred and the ellipse, the dot, dot, dot. So click, on the side you want it to go to. Again, quadrant doesn't like to play with tangent. Click, enter, enter again. Shift right click tangent, click, shift right click tangent, click. There's your fan belt going from pulley to pulley. Any question about running object snaps and O-snap overrides? Don't forget, you can turn the the running O-snaps off and on anytime you want. You can leave it off full time and use O-snap overrides for everything. Midpoint, right click, endpoint, right click, say quadrant, right click, say snap to center. By the way, on snap to center, it's wise to get in the habit of slide your cursor over the circumference whose center you want to go to. If you're right in the middle of a circle and launch snap to center, it doesn't realize it's within a circle already and to home in. So rest your cursor to say, hey, you're within a circle already. When you see the circle little yellow icon, left click, and You've gone perfectly to the center. Okay, not even intersection is on because I got status by the running OSNAP button off. So it won't go to intersection. Shift right click, select intersection, and now it will for 1 point only. Interesting. Why does it not go out on the polar tracking? Well, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. At least it'll home in on an intersection of existing lines. Yeah, got it set for 45. So I'm at a loss on why it does not polar track. And I'm more confused that it thinks these are intersections. Never noticed that before. Let's try it again here. CEN enter. INT enter. Interesting. It loses the rubber band. Wonder if I ought to close and reopen AutoCAD or reset my profile. The second page of the handout, well, no. Another third way I'd like you to learn to draw a circle. And say I want to put a circle right here in this V. I want it to touch there, and I want to specify the radius. That would be a good use of the tangent radius high-tech icon. Click tangent radius high-tech icon on the flyout toolbar. Yeah, I was within the circle command. There it says specify point. I want it to touch approximately here. Specify the point on the second tangent, on the object for second tangent. I want it to touch approximately here. Now it says specify the radius. I'll say 2, enter. And there's a 2-unit circle. It barely touches those 2 property lines. Maybe that's where I want to put my round swimming pool, as close to the corner as it'll fit. Again, object snaps only work when the command prompt says specify point. If it says select objects, which we'll get into in a minute, or specify other corner, like a few commands will prompt you to do, those do not invite the object snap to work. Let me turn back on Burgener's favorite Osnaps again before I forget. Before we do this, what is it, 8-step exercise, let me do 2 more commands. Maybe we'll take a break before doing this 8-step exercise of exercise 6 in your textbook. The fillet command is probably the most common way to make an arc. You know, there is a fly out of different ways to make an arc. But I think using the fillet command to round off a corner is a more popular way of making an arc. Fillet icon is on the modify panel. It does have a flyout because chamfer and, you know, it blend curves kind of high tech, we won't cover. But anyway, tap on the fillet icon. I think F enter is a quick type in. AutoCAD says select first object. Notice that the radius is now set to 0 by default. Some releases of AutoCAD had it rigged to, I believe, 0.5 for some reason. People complained and they changed it to 0. Well, if we want to put a round here, say a 1/4 unit round between these two lines, you know, like for a pipe bend, we don't want a 0 radius. We want to change the radius option setting to 0.25. So to change the radius setting for the fillet command, invoke the radius option. Again, click on the word on the command prompt, type the capital letter that's blue, or I think I've encouraged you to simply right click, select the radius option. AutoCAD comes back with specify the fillet radius you want to use. I'll type 0.25 and hit enter. So from now on, the radius setting will stick to 0.25. I'm not sure if it goes back to 0. I'm guessing if you close and reopen the drawing, it'll still be set to 0.25. Never experimented, never really thought about it. Anyway, now that you got the fillet radius set, simply click in, near the ends, not precisely at the end, because AutoCAD won't know which line you're specifying. So near but not perfectly at the end, specify the two objects you want to put the arc at. And there's a 1/4 unit radius arc. Hit enter to invoke the fillet command again. We'll change the radius setting to say 1 and hit enter. I'll pick these two lines. Maybe I want to put an arc between this line and this circle. I'll launch fillet command again. I'll leave it a radius set at 1 just for repetition. I'll change the radius setting to say 0.5. Specify the line and the circle. And there it put a fillet between those two. A little defect with the fillet command is say I want to put a fillet between these two circles. The only place the fillet command will put an arc is when it'll be concave. If I set the radius to something really, really big and say, hey, I want a fillet to go from here to there, it will not put, whoops, I right-clicked when I hit escape. It will not draw a convex arc. It'll only put a concave arc between the circles. I don't know why they don't code it to pay attention to where you're specifying the circles. So the incredibly large radius will go convex around. Let's check it out. Click fillet. I'll set the radius icon, force a habit. Right click, set radius to I don't know, say this distance. whatever this random distance is here. Now check it out. I say, hey, I want an arc of that long radius to go from the, from the far end of one circle to the far end of another. Like it or not, it'll only put the arc concave. Well, what if you want a circle, an arc that, goes convex? Well, you can start with a tangent radius circle that's tangent approximately there and tangent approximately there and has this huge radius. But to get it to reduce to an arc, we need to learn the trim command. Usually I start with lines for the trim command, but I got momentum going, so that's okay. We'll launch the tangent radius method of drawing a circle. I'll say, hey, I want the tangent to be approximately here. Not approximately here, but approximately here. And I want it to also be tangent to a point approximately here, not here, but approximately here. And I want the radius to be, say, 3. This will be huge. Now, all I want to keep of this circle is from this point to this point, counterclockwise from this point to this point. So this would be a good demonstration for the trim command. Trim icon is also on the modify panel. It's got to fly out with a sister command, extend, which instead of shortening or cutting things, it'll lengthen things. I use trim more than extend. Anyway, tap on the trim icon. And this is why I suggest you have 3 visible lines of communication above the command prompt. Check it out. There's settings to the trim command, which I don't know that I've ever cared to change. But check it out. It says select the cutting edges. It's intuitive to select the thing you want to cut first. Well, like it or not, AutoCAD was coded to first ask you to select the cutting edges that you want your X-Acto knife to follow as it cuts other things. Notice that after the prompt, you got the default select all. Usually, that's a good idea. So I suggest simply hit enter so that everything is a cutting edge. And I'll show you what happens. Click outside the piece you want to save, and AutoCAD will send little spies in both directions until it finds another object, and that's where the cut will be made. And it'll go the other direction until it finds another object to use as a cutting edge, and that's where the cut will be made. So you can select it here, and select it up here, and you've got the arc now trimmed away from the circle. Hit enter and invoke the erase command to erase this huge part, or invoke the erase option of the trim command. This was added in recent release. Recent. Anyway, right click and invoke the erase option of the trim command. And now, lo and behold, the trim command turns into the erase command. Hit enter when you're finished selecting, and everything you selected after invoking the erase option of the trim command gets erased. More likely, I'll probably hit enter and then simply click the erase icon and select it. Matter of fact, this might be a case where using everything as a cutting edge took a little bit longer than necessary. Let me trim it with minimum steps. Click trim. Instead of hitting enter so everything is a cutting edge, I'm just going to select these two circles as cutting edges and hit enter. Now if I click on the circle anywhere outside of those two cutting edges, that's a bit quicker than disintegrate this, and erase the big thing. A little repetition, I'll hit enter to invoke the trim command again. I'll hit enter so that everything is a cutting edge, and now anywhere I click will disintegrate. Now be aware, eventually you get these things that cannot be trimmed because they don't cross anything. You can click on this thing and, hey, why isn't it trimming? Well, that's because it doesn't cross it. There's no cutting edge that'll shorten it. So you could use the erase option. More likely, I'll hit enter to get back to type a command, click erase, and shave off these little whiskers. There's another one that doesn't cross anything. Hit enter when you're finished. Take a break.
I'm down.
Okay, let me take a quick pick of attendance for the record, and we'll reconvene in 10 minutes. Say it, let's go a little longer. I got 5:37. Let's go to 5:50. So it'll be about 12 or 13 minutes. See it. What'd I say? 5:50. And I'll document attendance. I wish I knew of a way in Zoom to record attendance. While we're on break, anybody want any one-on-one help on anything we've covered? Let me demonstrate object snaps with the 3 type-ins. I'll turn off Burgener's 5 favorite, and I'll turn off polar tracking just for demonstration's sake. We'll click line. I want it to start at a midpoint. Lines only have one midpoint, so I don't have to be concerned which end I'm closer to. I want it to go perpendicular to here, so I'll type PER, enter, and rest my cursor. There's only one perpendicular point, so anywhere on the line's the same. I want to go to this intersection. I'll type INT, enter, and home in on that intersection. I want to go to this quadrant, which will be slightly above that end of that line. TAN, enter. I'm sorry. QUA, enter. All right, something went wrong because I mistyped. Where was I? Line, say END. I think I was here, wasn't I? I want to go to that quadrant. QUA, enter. Got to be closest to the quadrant I want. And again, it's slightly above that tangent point. Notice the circle's starting to get square pieces. Not sure if I can type RE in the middle of a command. Let me hit enter to finish the command, and RE enter. And that'll replenish the display. I'll type view res with a S. Yes, I want fast zooms. Change the circle zoom percent to the maximum allowed, 20,000. Enter. I'll need to zoom or regen less often now. One thing I should have told you, check it out. If you change your mind and say, hey, that's too expensive for the machinist to grind and file this plate off at such a high radius. We don't want it to be a sharp corner, to be a shin buster. We want this fillet to be a little small, a little lower radius, so it's less expensive to machine. Check it out. If I click the fillet icon, invoke the radius option to make it, say, 1/4 inch, 0.25, enter. It's going to add another arc. AutoCAD doesn't see the connection between this arc and the original 2 lines. And arcs and arcs and arcs, so it'll draw another arc when you draw another fillet. Well, that's a little too sharp. I'll launch the fillet command, shift right click the radius and make it say 0.75, enter. Select the 2 lines again. Now I got 3 arcs. So be prepared. When we learn polylines, you'll find there is a connection between the arc and the line. Polylines are like bent wires that can go on forever. They're incredibly storage intensive objects if they got 100 vertices. But with regular lines and arcs and arcs and arc, so deal with it. Erase the arcs that you decided not to use. Just leave the last one intact. A little warning, be aware the fillet command has got settings of a mode and besides radius. I don't recommend this, but you can right click on the trim option and change it to no trim. And that way the lines will not be shortened when you put a fillet arc in. I really can't think of a reason why you'd want that. I'll leave the radius set at 0.75 and watch it make a liar out of me. I must not have successfully changed the setting. Let me undo, trim, right click, trim, change it to no trim. Select the two. There it failed to trim the lines as it put the arc. So I'd suggest leave the trim setting to always be trim and not no trim. And the trim command will be predictable. Oh, I forgot to show properties. I'll wait until we're back from break to show that. Might want to trim all this stuff out of the way. This guy doesn't cross anything, so it can't be trimmed unless I use the erase option of the trim command. Let's say I want to eliminate everything else. You know, most likely I'd have another arc over here, turn it into an egg. For demonstration's sake, I'll click the, well, no, I'll erase first. Eliminate that guy, hit enter. Now I'll trim, hit enter so that, oh, my bad, I hit fillet, hit trim, hit enter so that everything is a cutting edge. Now I can machine gun away. Make it into whatever that is. Again, be prepared if you plan the order how you trim things, you might reduce the need to erase. And if you don't plan well, it's easy enough to hit enter, invoke the erase command, and erase it. Little reminder, I added to the YouTube video list. I don't think I got that open. When I added, I'll go ahead and open it now. If I added to the YouTube video list the recordings from the summer class. Let's see. Book around a chart of YouTube vids. Again, I use Open Office instead of Microsoft because I'm so cheap. But at the bottom of the list of all the tutorials I've made, some better than others, some are old, should be redone. But toward the bottom of the list, I got almost all the recordings from the summer 2020 introduction course. I messed up and failed to get the first week. Go ahead and click on these. I think they're all, most of them are hyperlinks. Right click. No, they're not. All right, be that way. I'll select it, copy it to, interesting. I can't right click and pick copy. All right, Control C. Open up Internet Explorer or Chrome or Firefox, whatever you use. Why does it not? Control C. I must have gotten confused with the shade of gray the thing was. This will show you the previous recording. And you know, if you can't understand the recording from this from this 9-week session, consider going to the last one. Yeah, I'm not telling you that just to get a hit count. Starting to add winter 2021 as I make them. Again, they're in the classroom assignment for the respective week. All right, we're at past break time. Everybody back that wants to be?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So a lot of you stepped out. I still owe you the properties command. I shouldn't say command, it's a feature maybe. Let's say I want to know the length of this line here. Hit escape to get out. I want to, this little line from there to there, I want to know the length of it. Perhaps I want to know the radius or the area. I think it'll give the circumference of this circle, or this circle. It'll give the angle as well as distance of the line. So select an object. This will be the first time I tell you to take advantage of the grips. There's no active command, so when I select with no active command or from the type of command, it just simply selects objects, then right click, and nothing happens. Okay, I got my right click time sensitive. So if I hold the right click a split second too long, it emulates the enter button. That's one of the many things on the options. So I got to remember to quickly right click, come down to properties. And the one object I'm selected here is a line. There's its start XYZ, end XYZ. Right there is the length, hair more than 0.8 units. And based on which was the first point, the angle going to the second point is shown here. Hit escape to deselect. Select the circle. It gives the XYZ of the center, the radius, the diameter, and the area. I think I get back into this when in the intermediate class, but it's kind of cool. You can edit things from the properties. If the value of the property is in you know, bold black or bold white, not a shade of gray, you can override it. Say I don't want the diameter to be 0.5 anymore. I want it to be 0.75. Enter. Circle obeys the change to the property you made. If you got a lot of stuff selected, next week we'll get into this window method of selecting. You notice which way you draw your selection set window. It's different color, but I'll pick them individually for now. Now I got 5 objects selected. It's a short list because the lines don't have area or center XYZ, but I can get the properties of just the one circle by dropping down and saying, hey, of the 5 things I got selected, show me the properties of just the circle. I've never done this before, but I believe I can modify the circle by telling it to take a different circumference. Slightly less than 2 to say 2.5, enter. Okay, I hit space bar instead of enter. Hit enter. There, I change the diameter so that its circumference is 2.5 units. Anyway, let me walk you through this 8-step process. Some of you may have already done it yourself. I'll start a brand new drawing. I'll turn off those silly icons that I don't use. I'll turn back on running object snaps, and I'll double check that Burgener's 5 favorite are running. I'll turn back on polar tracking and double check that 45 is selected. Although 90 would work. Now I'm probably zoomed in a bit close here. You know, as again, click on the coordinates display so it shows where the cursor is. Check again when you're making a line that it's showing coordinates, not distance and angle. Anyway, let's launch the line command and draw a 2, 2, 5. We're working to get this object here, which is your exercise 6 in your book. And there's many ways to do this. Where was I? Type 225. And that'll be this line we're drawing right here. Later we'll erase it for the final step. So consider it a guideline. Some people might say a construction line, but I don't want you to get confused with AutoCAD's construction line icon, which I see little use for. Anyway, 225 and hit enter. Hello, I already had 225. Hit enter and it goes way the heck off the screen. Not a problem. I'll hit enter to finish the line command. Oh, check it out. Coordinates are showing distance and angle. So I'll tap it so it shows XYZ of the cursor. I'll hit enter to tell AutoCAD I'm finished drawing this guideline that I'll later erase. Incidentally, if I guess y'all are pretty young, but some of the older folks, did pencil drafting cringe at the thought of drawing something they'll later erase. Well, don't do that. Erasing in CAD is incredibly easy. So don't think you're gonna risk tearing apart your drawing by, erasing the paper too thin. Anyway, I'll double click and zoom out to see all there is to see. I believe next week we'll learn the move and copy command, so disregard this icon. Where was I? Oh, that's step 1. And I broke my own commandment. I should have started at a specific absolute coordinate. My bad. I'll erase that. Enter and repeat it. I want the first point to be 210, comma 320. I believe this will get it away from the origin. Zoom out, aim the direction I want to go. 225, enter, enter. Zoom, change my display to be comfortable. One of these circles is with the diameter. That's what this little Greek letter phi, I believe, is. Circle slash means diameter. I dare say, I believe anywhere in the world it means diameter. R, of course, means radius. Anyway, let's launch the circle. Starting from the small to the big, I'll launch the circle center diameter method. AutoCAD says specify center point. There's those words specify and point. Disregard the options because we're using the high-tech icons instead of the options. I want to strike my center punch for this circle, or to stick my old pencil compass right at that end point. So when I see the yellow square, left click, command prompt says now specify diameter, that is 60, enter. Other circle is a radius of 60. So we'll launch the center radius method. Now I can home in two different ways. I can go to the center of the first circle or the end point of the line. Not sure, I gotta pass the circle to get there so I don't have to hover over it. Home in, and I believe hitting tab will cycle all nearby object snaps. So when I see the circle or the square, I know I'm where I want to be. And what was that again? 60, enter. Step 3, add the lines at the end here, following the dimensions on exercise 6 of your book, 15 up, 15 down. We'll type a command, it says, launch the line command. Whoops. Specify first point. All those object snaps are running now. Or I could type TAN or PER or NEA for near. Anyway, I want to start there, go up 15, enter, enter, enter to invoke the line again, and start there and come down the 15, enter, enter. Looking at the final product, these two lines go from these new endpoints I drew guidelines. Well, these will end up being object lines at the finished product, but they go all the way till they strike the circle, and later I'll trim away the circle. So I'll launch line, home in on the endpoint, follow my polar tracking until it strikes an intersection with the circle. There's good. Hit enter to finish. I believe next week we'll learn the mirror command, so we can just replicate this right across, make a mirror copy, but step by step, I'll hit enter to invoke the last used command. Again, works with line and erase, not so good with circle. I believe it works with fillet. I'll start there, end there, hit enter. Step 4, add some more guidelines, 40 up and 50 to the left. Enter to invoke the last command. Start at an endpoint, 40 up, enter, and 50 left, and hit enter. Hit enter to terminate the command. Now I got an endpoint at which I can draw these two circles in step 5. Well, small diameter 50, large is radius of 50. Beginning small and working out to large circles. I'll go to center diameter method. Home in on that endpoint. What I say? 50, enter. Drop down, center radius. Home in on that center point or that endpoint. AutoCAD's asking for the radius. 50 units again. Now I need to draw an arc from here to here. There's 2 ways. Circle, tangent, tangent, radius. If I carefully select the 2 tangent points will work, but then I got to trim away the circle, the rest of the circle. So fillet command will do it a little bit faster if I set the radius correctly. Either way, I got to specify a radius. So fillet command's a hair faster. I'll launch the fillet command. I'll set the radius to 0.75. Right click, invoke the radius option to set the radius setting to 75 and hit enter. Specify the 2 points where I expect the fillet to be. Although if I, in this case, I think if I go from here to there. Anyway, good habit to select where you anticipate the action will be. Step 7, trim away some garbage. And step 8, erase the stuff that can't be trimmed. Fillet. Oh, I'm sorry. Trim, enter, so everything's a cutting edge. Machine gun all over the place. Blasting away everything that doesn't look like the final product. I could trim this away, but I got to erase it anyway. So I'll hit enter to say I'm finished with the trim command, or I could use the erase option. Force a habit, I'm going to hit enter, invoke the erase command, and erase these 3 pieces of garbage. There we're done. A little after 6. Well, let's skip this old sheet. I think it's safe. I can eliminate it next time we make a introductory class. I believe we've covered everything that it does do. TTR circle. So for right now, I was about to say do all 6 of them, but that's quite a lot more work than I gave you last week. Yeah, what the heck? Let's do all 6 of them, and time permitting, I'll do the hardest ones for you before we finish the class, and I'll leave the easier ones for you to do on your own and think out. By the way, notice the exercise numbers with a little asterisk means, hey, check the errata sheet. There's a typo or a warning. Anyway, before I do one of those hard ones, I got a list here of, if I can remember where I put it. I got 4 exercises that can be done easily with what we know so far. Let me show off a bit here. I got, except for I think 3, I got all of your book done in 2D and 3D. Let's see, here's number 5. Another one is 24. I don't know what happened with the white background, but this is number 24, this green thing here. 25 is this guy. Now, why is that green instead of black? Always something. And 31. There it is. Which one you want me to do? All right, I'll do 31. I think that's about as hard as they get. Rats, I don't have a PDF of it. Not a problem. I'll close drawings that were done and I'll split the screen so I can see both the textbook and my working drawing. If I can remember how to do that. Let's see, view. There we go. Tile vertically. Start a blank drawing. Get rid of the ones I don't use. Double check, though I'm sure they're still good. The settings for the new object snaps and last week's polar tracking. I'll minimize, whoops. What happened? Okay, I got 2 blank drawings. Close one. And again, double check. I think I need the PDF anymore. So there's page or exercise 31 out of the book. There's no asterisks, so the book looks good. No typos or clarification issues. All right, let's start at the center. We'll draw these 2 circles. We'll draw a guideline. Maybe the center. By the way, in a couple weeks, we'll learn how to draw broken lines and assign colors to categories with layers. So for today, let's disregard this through hole drilled. So I'll just draw a guideline from center to the bottom here. It would be 44 and 6 would be 50 units. I'll draw another circle with a radius of 35 and a couple of guidelines. It looks like these are 15 units above 180 direction and 15 above 0. So setting my increment to 15 would be one way. Let me show you how to add additional angles, just to learn you that. Anyway, get back here, go back to the home tab of the ribbon. We'll click hubbity circle center radius. Pick a circle, starting with the small ones, 25 radius, and hit enter. Rapidly double click the zoom extents and roll the IntelliMouse wheel. We'll draw a circle center radius again. I'll hover across the arc and that lights up the center, and 30 radius. Eventually I'm going to need to find these little frog eye things. So that's a 35 radius guideline. There. 35 radius. Now let's set these two angles, 15 and 180 minus 15. Wait a minute. Yeah, 15. Okay, eventually I'm going to have to go change my increment to 30 to do this line. That's okay. Where was I? 15 and 165. 180 minus 15 is 165. So we'll come over here to the polar tracking icon, click the triangle. Now again, 15 is an increment. Later I might change the increment to 30, but to add two special angles that are not on the increment list, I'm going to go to tracking settings and add two more special angles. These, I was playing with these before. Yours will be blank. I'll erase these. In fact, I think I did this exact problem before. I'll say, hey, I want to use additional angles. I want a new one to be 15 degrees. And I want another new one to be 165 degrees. Disregard these other settings. Leave them as they are. Hopefully resetting the profile puts them back the way they should be. Click OK. If I was smart, I'd change 30, but I'll do that later for repetition. Let's see, line, I'll home in on the center, creep out at 16 or 15 degrees, and right there is where we want to draw the center for the two circles for this frog eye. Same thing again, the center of that end point, creep out on 165 degree additional angle. Now I can draw the two circles for the frog eyes, diameter of 8 and radius of 8. Starting with the small circles, snap at that end point or that intersection, and 8 radius. Drop down to, oh my bad, I should have drawn, did I use radius or diameter? Right click properties. Okay, diameter of 8. I did it right, probably was talking wrong. Close properties, hit escape to deselect, back to type a command, drop down and specify center radius. Snap at the center of the circle, the intersection of the two or the end point of the line, all the same. I know that because I did it perfectly. And I think there was 8 radius. Yes. 2x means somewhere on this drawing, there are 2, what are they called? Features. I believe the word is features for which a radius of 8 applies. So that would be this eventual arc, and over here would be the 2. Now in a week or so, we'll learn the mirror command. I could reflect these 2 right across a vertical line, but we haven't learned that yet. So we'll go to center radius, do 8, center diameter, and do 8, just because center radius was on there. Why did it shift over? Always something. $31 I'm doing, right? There we go. All right, these 2 lines are horizontal. So I could go from the quadrant of the circle to the intersection of the circle, and then you later fillet an arc there. Line. Oh, I got to activate my drawing. Duh. Line, quadrant to the 30 radius circle, enter, enter, quadrant to the 30 radius circle. How did I do this one? Thought I did this one entirely. Maybe I ignored the straight line and just put a fillet there. Well, I'm going to try to start at a deferred tangent. I kind of doubt it'll work, but hopefully a 30-degree polar tracking angle will get me to intersect with the circle. Let's see if that'll work. I might have to rotate or mirror. Let's see if we can keep it to what we've covered so far. 30-degree increments. Before they cause confusion, I'm going to disable these 2 additional. Delete, delete. Now, line, TAN or shift and pick tan. And polar tracking does not work. I believe I can type, wasn't planning on this, but I believe the less than and 210 would force my cursor. Nope, that doesn't work either. I thought that would force my cursor to go at a specific angle. All right, this line is at 30. Actually, this line is not at 30. It's at, if it were at 30, an increment of 30, it would be parallel to this one. Well, here's a thought. I'm going to draw a line out in space in the right direction and move it to a perpendicular point. Next week, we'll learn the move command. So let's see, let's set, this is 30 and it's half there. So this will be a 15-degree increment. We'll change the increment to 15 and I'll draw a line. Confusing myself here. This line would be at 210 degrees. I don't know that 210 degrees. Oh, I stand corrected. 210 is an increment of 15. So I'll draw the line and hit enter. I'll move the line. Again, I apologize. I thought I could do this with just what we knew. I may lose sleep trying to think of a way to do it. Anyway, we'll rats. Here we go. I'll draw a line from the center of this circle to perpendicular right here. Now, I think the perpendicular point falls on a 15-degree increment. But to be double sure, I'll invoke the perpendicular Osnap override by typing the 3 letters or shift right click and select perpendicular. Now I will move this line from this endpoint to that intersection. Later I'll put a radius there. What the heck, I'll put a radius there right now. Fillet, shift radius of okay, I need to change that to 4 or no, to 6 because there's 6 features that are a radius of 5. I think I could do that right now. Save the file back again. Give it a new revision letter. Sorry about this. We'll call it version 9C since there's such a minor change. Where was I? Oh, fillet, right click, radius of 5 units, hit enter, and click and click. While I'm working on the right side, I'll draw a line from that quadrant to that intersection and hit enter. And I'll fill it using the same radius there. Later, we'll learn the mirror command, so I could trim this away and mirror it straight over. But that's okay. I'll draw a line, 15-degree increment, angle, enter. Draw a guideline from center to perpendicular, PER, enter. And I'll move this guy from that endpoint to that intersection. And I'll fill it there to there. And I'll fill it there to there. work on this bottom stuff and then erase and trim away. I'll start a construction line from there straight down. 44 and 6 is 50. And it's 10 overall, so I'll go 5 each way. Quick there, but rapid hitting a enter and space bar, line from end point straight up, enter, line straight up. Rats, I got to do the 1 and 1 here, always something. All right, I'd rather not put a line on top of a line, but sometimes it happens. 1 unit, and I'll go back 2 units. Now I got endpoints. Enter. Hopefully I'll get, there is a overkill command on the express tools. I thought there was. Hate it when this happens. Maybe I'm thinking of an add-on program, but I've heard of a command called overkill that eliminates lines that are on top of lines to reduce the file. Anyway, we'll I think we're ready to trim and erase now. Oh, let me put in those fillets first. Go back to home, fillet, click, click, enter, click, click. All right, we'll trim, hit everything as a cutting edge. I should have drawn those lines all the way up, shouldn't I? Up to, oh, I'm an idiot. I put the fillet on, not a problem. Let me fix this. I'll go from there straight up, enter. It's a little sloppy having a line, 2 lines instead of 1, but deal with it. I'll erase these 2 fillets and move the fillets down where they should be. And there's 1, enter, there's the other. Getting back to the trim, hit enter. Eliminate that. Eventually I'll draw those lines up as they should be. I believe I can erase this entire circle later. I'll nibble away things that don't look like exercise number 6. I believe I can erase stuff now. Hold the shift button and deselect what I carelessly over selected. Oh, I used a window, didn't I? All right, be that way. Erase. That's gone, that's gone. Eventually, week 5, when we learned how to draw colors and broken lines, I'd convert this to the proper layer, but we haven't gotten there yet. Taking a lot longer than I thought it would. I'll extend, yeah, what the heck? Let's do the extend command. Again, extend is a sister command to trim. They're so similar that you can toggle between one and the other, I think, by just hitting shift. But let's do them individually. Hit extend. Now it's asking for boundary edges. Well, I want everything to be a boundary edge. I prefer the word target because we're going to extend stuff till it hits a target. But they don't ask me these things. So we want it all to be boundaries. I'll hit enter or space bar, and we'll extend these two lines till they strike the closest boundary. Hit enter. I'll erase. I believe I got a couple lines down here. Yep. My bad. Let's go to erase. Is that a single object? Nope. Let's go to trim, enter, redraw that guy, trim, shave that guy off. Oh, enter, so everything's a cutting edge. And erase that guy, and I believe I'm done. All right, I got you another 20 minutes. Tell you what, let's do 12, 13, 14, and 15 for homework. And I'll do 15 for you in class. Does that sound fair? Dog's whining for attention here. Want to take a 5-minute break? Let's keep going. I'll set Abby out. Hopefully she'll get attention from somebody else in the family. All right. For homework, let's do 12, 13, 14, and 15, and I'll do 15 for you in class right now. And time permitting, the next hardest, I believe, will be 14 because of the circle and the fillets. These other ones are just a bunch of, 90 degrees all over the place, and trim away and erase away. So let's do, I'll do 15 for you. I think I can lose this and maximize my working drawing. Whoop, need to still see the PDF. All right, should I start at the circle or start at this corner? Let me start at this corner. And I can work my way around all the way to this point and then draw the two circles. By the way, there's a typo. In your textbook, it dimensions this line right here, I believe, is exactly 8 units. Well, if you drew that line first, nothing else would fall in place. This radius and this radius. So disregard that 8 and just follow these two radii. And this will turn out to be, I don't know, I forget, 7.98496 or 8.0195, a little above or below 8. Anyway, let's get underway. Line, start. Let's see, these are trying to get them to minimize white space here. I'll start it here. 46 to the right. 6 up, 7 left, 6 up again, 12 minus 6. To the right again, 7. Up is 6. 18 minus 12 is 6. Back to 7 to get to the circumference of the circle. And then let's go from this corner, a radius 12 to find that point right there. So I'll continue to the left, 12, enter, enter. Now that I got that endpoint with a temporary guideline that I'll trim or erase later, I can draw these 2 circles, diameter of 16 and radius of 12. Diameter of 16, enter, and radius of 12, enter. Draw a line straight up from the corner, 32, enter. 6 to the right, and some distance down that I'll trim away later. Need to put a fillet right here. And then start trimming and erasing. The fillet is a 5-unit radius. I've long since forgotten what my radius setting is, so we'll launch fillet. Radius is 5 from doing the last problem coincidentally, so there's no need to change it. I'll click there and there. There's the radius. Trim. Enter, so everything's a cutting edge. Machine gun all over the place. For 2 places. I could invoke the erase option. From being an old dog, I'll finish and click erase and do it the old-fashioned way. Let me do 14 for you. Again, what I say, 12, 13, 14, and 15. 14 is 40. Where can I begin? I'll start at imaginary corner right here. Go 40 to the left to minimize white space. 40 to the left, enter, and 30 up. I'll fill it later, tore. Let's see, a radius of 10 right there. So that means from this point here, I need to go 10 to the right, and I'll fill it the rounds later. And I'll come down an excessive distance. And I'll draw a line from here straight up. I'm drawing a blank here. That's 10 again, right? Yeah. And straight over. Although it looks like the center of the circle is perfectly lined up. Subject to debate whether I should dimension to the center, or a machinist would assume what I meant for it. I forget how your book dimension. Anyway, let's see, that's a radius of 5. I'll click circle radius, go to that intersection, pick 5, launch the fillet command. What's the radius setting here? 10. Okay, I'll right click, invoke radius option, and change the radius setting to 10 and hit enter. And click. Enter for fillet again. I'm not sure what multiple does. That might save you the time of enter, all these. Where was I? Click. Looks like I can trim. If I trim these whiskers first, then these, there will be nothing left to erase. If I trim these, then it'll orphan these, and I'll have to come back and erase them. So I'll click trim, enter for everything, click, 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 click. Oh, I forgot this guy too, and I'm done with that. Well, want to get paid for 2.5 hours. Let me do, which one of the others? Should I do 12 or 13 for the recording?
Which one's more complicated?
Looks like I'm missing a dimension right there. Let me try to do 12. And I think I poorly dimensioned that. The error, as I recall, is, whoops, this 10-unit dimension here is mentioned as 8 in your book, and it's not well centered. So I suggest change the 8 dimension to 10 and well center it. Well, tell you what, I'm gonna, no. I could do I could open up my completed file and do a properties on this distance here. Let's cross that when we get there. All right, I'll start at the lower left and work upward. And I'll start over here. 10 up, 15 to the right. 16 minus 10 is 6, and half of that is 3, so 3 up. 24 right. 27 minus 16 is 11. Tell you what, being incredibly lazy, I'm going to draw a guideline from the center of that 10-unit line to here. And if this line is 27 long, then I'll need to extend it 13.5 up and 13.5 down. Right? This is probably longer than I thought. Come down and back up 13.5. Enter, enter, 13.5 down. Do that right? Yeah, I think so. 8 units to the right. 27 up. And I lost track of where I began. C for close might send me down to there. I can't remember, so I'll just terminate it there. Let's see, this one is 16, no. 10 down. 10 down. What happened? Somehow I typed 19, always something. All right, undo and do it right the second time. 10 down. Over. Let's see, that would be another 3 down, wouldn't it? Again, I could use the mirror command if we learned it, but that's okay. I also need the dimension of that right there too. All right, time to open the book. Is this 12? Okay, I'm missing a dimension from here to there is 115. And your book dimensions that is 7. So I'll draw, actually I'll draw a circle whose radius is 115. And that'll tell me the end of this. Hello. Yeah, 115. That's what I typed. All right, I'll use the extend command, hit enter so everything's a boundary, and extend this. Oh, accidentally hit trim. Extend, enter so everything, there we go, that's where it'll end. Now this is the center line, not this line. This line is slightly below center. Always something, ain't it? Line will go up 8, enter, enter, and down 8. Enter, enter. I'll erase the guide circle before it confuses me. Connect the dots. And again, textbook says this is 7. Hope I fix my collection of completed projects. Down 9. Left 50. Go excessively up, hit enter, enter. And there. I believe it's time to trim and erase. We'll launch trim, enter. I think that's all I need to trim. Up there. And just to remind you, I'll invoke the erase option of the trim command and lose that guy. And I wish I'd have started further over. That's okay. Still got 10 minutes. I'll give you your 4th one too. Next week, I'm not going to be so generous, though. You're going to have to think these out rather than just slow down the YouTube recording. I sure hope I remember. That's 7, and this is 100 and what I say. Anyway, let's do 13. Let's start. Let's draw a center line. Let's see, 58, then 6, then 67, then 42, then 48. And I think I'll have endpoints for all the verticals then. Line. Okay, it's 210 tall. Well, tell you what, let me draw the 210 tall. And 210, enter, enter, and this is 42. Rats. All right. Be that way then. I'll waste paper. I'll start 210, enter, enter, 42, Now, starting at the midpoint of this 201, let me double check. Select, right click properties, list is a type in command that'll tell you the distance as well. Where was I? This is length 210, good. Okay, we'll start at the midpoint, working left 6-7. Continuing left 6, continuing left 58. And let's see, this isn't very elegant, but I'll draw a circle center diameter. It's 42, enter. Take advantage of these quadrants to go 58. Down. This is probably not the quickest way, but I'm getting tired of doing math. This is 60. And I'll draw a line from the quadrant of the 60 to the vertical. And I will extend, enter this guy upward. Enter, I'll draw a line from quadrant that there straight down to there. Continue it plenty and draw there straight up and there straight across and there down to quadrant and over. Now let's see, we'll draw a line from there to the right 48, down 9 and to the left till it finishes, and down 42 and to the left. I believe I'm ready to trim and erase. Whoop, wait a minute, something went wrong. I missed this little guy there, didn't I? Okay, that's 58. So I need this 6 unit. All right, I think I got this line. Again, you know, multi-segmented lines is kind of sloppy. But all the way down. I'm confusing myself already. Undo. Okay, this is 42, right? All right, let me erase some junk. This will be 42 straight down. $60 minus 42 is 18. Half of that is 9. So I think I'm going up. That increment angle's biting me. Oh, line. Please stand by. I'll draw a circle whose diameter is 75. Okay, I think come down, did we figure 9? And then 6. And then down. Likewise, 6. And up. And trim the garbage. Keeping you on overtime again. Trim, enter. Those two I'll have to erase. Let's bail out, erase this guy and these guys and that guy. And that whisker and this whisker. Again, the mirror would be helpful if we covered it. And trim with everything the cutting edge. Line from there down. And erase the junk. Now, why is that not 67? That's 25. How did that happen? Well, we're going to get a preview of the stretch command. When I say it's 25, it needs to be 67. 67 minus 25 is, oh boy, been a long day. 60, what'd I say? 67 minus 25. Messed up. 67 minus 25. So I need to stretch this guy 42 units to the right. Forget which week we'll cover the stretch command, but here's the stretch command. The trick of the stretch command is you got to use a crossing window. Now, which you haven't learned yet. And well, I'm gonna have to move stuff to get it out of the way. I'm using a selection set window to select everything. Now I got a clear shot with the stretch command. And this crossing window that starts on the, notice it says specify object or select objects. So I'm using next week's selection set windows. And what was that answer? I forgot already. $67 minus 25. That's all right. 67 minus 25 is 42. Stretch. Select the objects with a crossing window, so that the crossing window cuts what I want to turn into rubber bands. Enter. And I think I right-clicked accidentally. Stretch. Enter. Stretch this guy 42 and hit enter. And I believe that is done. Let's see, that's 48. That's 42. That's 67. That is 6. Yep. That is 58. That is 42. This is 210. 75. No. Oh, I forgot this guy. All right. I'll draw a line from mid to mid just to see the distance, 75. Erase that. That's good to go. Got a little more white space than I'd like. What the heck? I showed you move once before. I'm going to move this guy and set him. Where would be the best, easiest printout? How about right there? And I'll move. No, that's okay. Cover the. All right. Hand it in, name it again, Paul space W, or your name space WK2. And email it to me by midnight Saturday night. All that's left to do is, did I do them all? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did them all. So
12, 13, 14, and 15, right? Is that I was correct?
Stand by. Yes.
Okay.
Why do I have 5? Did I do an extra one? 15, 13, 14.
This is number 31.
Ah, you're right. Yeah. All right. Yours, thank you. Yours will remove all of this. I'll use a green selection set window there. Yours should end up like that. All right. Sorry to hold you 8 minutes. Send me the bill. Anybody got any last questions?
No, sir.
Little repetition, save as. I'll put it in student work, week 2. I don't have a Paul folder yet. Should have copied them all. Double click to open that and call it again, first name space WK2, save. All right, email or call if I can help you during the week. Let's call it a lesson.
Sounds good. You have a good week, sir.
Yeah, you do the same. See you next time.
Have a good week.
Yeep. And close.
Mr. Behringer, I have a question for you.
Good. I was in the process of shutting down. Okay.
No, I just, I'm using the work computer and, well, the laptop. And my problem is I know when you was telling us at the bottom, all the icons that need to be on and
Right.
which ones we're using. For some
Right.
reason, my graphic one won't cut off. I have to unselect it, the graphic performance. I will have to unselect it for it not to.
Oh,
Does that hurt anything on when we're doing the designs or anything?
I'm gonna say that's okay to leave on. Is it this graphic?
Yes.
Hardware acceleration?
Let me make sure I'm telling you right. Yes.
All right, that takes 2 steps to turn on or off. If everything else is working fine, leave it as is.
Okay.
On some computers, I think weird things happen if it is on.
Got you.
But to answer your question, instead of just tapping it like the rest of them, right click,
Mm-hmm.
select the word and slide this thing
Mm-hmm.
on or off.
Okay.
But either way is fine. So,
Good to know.
okay, let me know if email or call, Ty, if I can help you further.
Yes, yes. And this time I had went and last week I just had to sit down and read because the YouTube videos were they were helpful, but it's like I wasn't catching on, like it wasn't clicking for me. So I had to sit down and read real quick. And I'm like, oh, the starting point. This is where I'm stuck at. This is why it won't click on, because I'm doing it backwards. I kept holding the mouse down and trying to put the numbers in. So if I had to put 50 in, the line wasn't going 50. It was doing some other crazy stuff.
I think I'm with you. Maybe watch some of my tutorials,
Okay.
might clarify.
Yes.
Okay, we
Well,
gone.
thank you.
Bye. My
Bye.
pleasure. See you around.